Hello and welcome to the fifth tale in the series From the Heart of the Jakul. I'm your host Lothran, and I'm ever so pleased to be here. So settle in, grab a snack, and get comfy. This is Forlorn Temple. This is... Is it? This is the temple? Jide asked as the boat slowly struck the shore. The dark water lapped at the edges of the black sands beach. The boatmen remained silent, neither looking off toward the temple looming under a thick blanket of fog, nor toward their charge within the boat. More now than before, Jide got the sense that he was alone in this. "Hey! What?" One of the boatmen prodded at him with the end of an oar. The others remained silent and steadfast in their positions. "What?" he exclaimed in shock as the prodding became more insistent. Finally, after a bit, the other three lurched forward, grabbing him in their iron-hard, muscular arms and tossed Jide from the boat. With barely more than a whisper, the craft receded back into a shroud of darkness and haze, disappearing before Jide could even realize his last hope was dashed away. "Hey!" he shouted after them just once, hesitating. Ripples and eddies erupted across the black, roiling water. "Best not to make too much noise." Jide whipped around, looking for the source of the voice that felt as if it had been scraping through his very memories. "Who's..." Jide stepped away from the shore, feeling loose, wet sand cling to his bare feet. He suddenly felt so naked without his sword at his hip. "This way, little one." "Is that... this can't... is this real?" Jide asked of the voice, rummaging through his thoughts as he began to walk slowly toward the looming, towering pillars he could just barely make out from behind their protective cloak of mist. "Real enough, little one." Jide couldn't help but place one foot in front of the last. He knew he was fucked. There was no argument of that. It was all how much of a fight he would put up before it ended him, if he could fight such a being at all. He paused at the edge of the temple proper. The pillars sank into the loose black and dark purple sand all around him, uttering not a single sound in their descent. Jide flung his hands up as a clarion trumpet blared all around him, but nothing happened. He opened his eyes after a long while, watching the square, squat structure shift from stark white marble to a black pyramid in a matter of moments, and as if it were made of pure abyssal fluid. And then, with a flutter, the temple shook and was solid once more. Jide wasn't sure how he knew, but he knew. It watched him. "What is this place? Is that all you have to ask, little one?" Jide gripped the air where his sword should be, an old habit, steeling himself to step inside. It was so incredibly difficult to imagine himself walking in under his own will, but necessary. So disgustingly absolute. Jide tilted his head as he lifted his right foot. The temple rose from the ground, mimicking his motion. Not all the way, not a full match to his stride, but enough to reveal a descending pyramid beneath the dark sand. A diamond. How odd. Jide found it much easier to place both feet within the temple bounds after seeing this fact. Something he found even more strange than that last kernel of knowledge. He wondered to himself if there was any way out of this for him. There is the one way out of this for you." The voice was softer and more gentle. It had a sense of caring in its feel as it held his mind, as if Jide had been tested and in some unseen way passed. something he could not even comprehend. "Correct," he replied to his thoughts. Jide found himself much more at ease than he'd ever been in his entire life. This place was comfort. It should terrify him, but it didn't. Excellent. The voice nearly cooed as it grabbed his thoughts firmly and accurately. Jide stared at the walls. He knew them to be the same on the inside as out, a reflection of that diamond shape. But that is not what his eyes told him he saw. Instead of sharp, angular walls, he stood on a flat floor in a sphere, perfectly round, floating above an endless storm of flashing lightning far below. He shut his eyes, hoping beyond all hope that what he saw would go away. When he opened them, it was still there, challenging his very understanding of reality, that which he knew he would never understand ever again. "Come forward, little one. Any biting I can do." "I did long before you realized I would." Jide did as he was told. Reluctantly, he strode forward, passing through rings etched and hewn into the glass-like floor. Each ring encircled a smaller portion of the space they were in. Both Jide and the floating diamond structure at the center of the room. As he walked, his steps became consistently harder and harder to perform. Each new footfall a battle just to place on the now squishy, sponge-like floor beneath him. He wanted to gaze back to see how far he had traversed, but Jide dared not do such a thing. He could not pry his eyes off of the flashing surface of the floating diamond before him. Jide was being tested yet again. Such a clever little one. Jide resisted the sudden urge to clamp his eyes shut. He pushed onward through a thick morass of heavy air, struggling to breathe, let alone move within. Driving ever onward, he felt his skin peel from his flesh. Great tearing sheets pulled effortlessly from his form. His muscles and tendons went next, sliced and flung off of his angry and stubbornly moving bones. "I will not fail!" Jide shouted at the top of his non-existent lungs while feeling the organs rent from his very being. The torment was immeasurable. He had not known such suffering in all his life. "I will not fail your game, monster!" Only a game. The only game that should ever matter to you, sweet little one. Jide felt his bones turn to ash as an incalculably massive fire was leveled his way. But still he strode onward. Still he walked, even though ages before he'd left himself behind. Jide finally arrived at his goal, falling to what should have been his knees, but was now shimmering nothingness. "I passed your test, monster," Jide retorted, feeling the very essence of himself start to slip away. "You passed a test, precious little one." 4 smaller, slender diamonds slowly emerged as if from the surface of a lake, from deep within the floating, glowing, pulsing shape before Jide. There will be many tests in the eons to follow. The 4 legs unfolded from the prison of the body they belonged to, stabbing into the undulating floor as a certain sound began to emanate from... Will it seem to come from everywhere, all at once? "I am nothing. You have ruined me as utterly as any being can be struck. Yet you live and breathe still." Jide let his gaze fall upon his form once more, witnessing his organs reform around him and slide back into their rightful places, his muscles and skin waiting patiently in line for their turns as well. He felt them, each of them, was aware of the breeze upon each patch of skin as it hung in this insane kaleidoscope of sensation. "How?" Giant asked in desperation. "Grab of my true flesh, magnificent, minuscule, singular being." A leg pulled Giant up from where he knelt, two handprints indenting themselves in the body of this monstrosity before him, letting him know exactly where he should place his palms, as the skin fell back upon each of his fingers right before his eyes. "What am I to you? Why do you want me?" "Key. You are the key to my power. I may be more than you could ever know, but alas, without you, without your need, without your guidance, as you almost truly were just now, I am nothing." Another night, another tale behind us. Please join us tomorrow for the discussion of this story, its importance, and its themes. This has been Forlorn Temple. As always, I've been your stalwart host, Lothran, and I encourage each and every one of you to stay safe out there